Is it possible to learn a language in just 6 days? Well, let's talk about that. In this video, I'm gonna show you how I created a 6 days, 6 steps method to learn a language by a special engineering, the Gerryneering. In this video, I'll go through 6 steps for learning a language, and you can use these 6 steps to learn any language. In my case, it will be Hungarian for 2 reasons. The first, I live in Budapest. Sounds a good reason. The second is because Hungarian is a very difficult language, and in a channel of self-challenge, I couldn't miss this challenge. How many times I said challenge? Why is it important to learn new languages? Because of the cognitive benefits you'll have. It's scientifically proved that people who can speak more languages have better critical thinking skills, a stronger memory, enhanced concentration, and so on. Moreover, I personally think that when you speak a new language, it's like you gain a new personality. You kind of have a new self you didn't know before. I don't mean you become a kind of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I just mean that a new language, new words, new sounds allow you to discover deeper layers of your soul you didn't know before. Again, what I learned in this experience is good whatever language you are learning now. You can watch me learn Hungarian and apply the same method with the language you're learning right now. I live in Budapest, but so far I didn't take time needed to learn Hungarian. I basically speak English at work and in university, so I'm not stimulated enough throughout the day to speak Hungarian. But this time I decided to move forward, because if I don't force myself learning, I will never get results. So far, Hungarian language has been music for me rather than a language, because I hear people walking and talking around me without understanding them. Hungarian is in fact a very nice sounding language, but it's considered one of the most difficult languages in the world. This is due to the fact that it's not a Neo-Latin language and it doesn't resemble to any other language in the world. But I love challenges. I really want to learn Hungarian because if I want to understand people's culture and mentality, I gotta start from their language first. Hungarian is a very rich language. The alphabet includes many consonants and vowels. Nowadays, in Hungarian, I can express very few concepts, unfortunately. I miss a lot of vocabulary. Also because as soon as I learn a word, I'll forget it. Again, this is because Hungarian doesn't resemble to Italian or English. That's why there is a high potential of forgetting everything you learn. My first step will be learning the most common everyday words, what I call surviving words. If I know them, I can call a taxi, buy food, call the doctor. In one word, survive. Increasing my vocabulary will help me humongously express myself and understand what people tell me. Do the same with the language you're learning now. I'm lucky because living in Hungary, I every day listen to the proper Hungarian pronunciation. Mistakes stay away. I will write down the most important Hungarian words of everyday usage. They will be probably 500, 1,000, I don't know. And I will repeat them till I have my mouth dry. The most difficult thing is that it's not enough to learn the simple word, but having a lot of cases, Hungarian is an agglutinative language, you gotta build the word. Agglutinative language means that you have to build the words. For example, the word város, which means city, if you want to say a small town, small city, you have to say kisváros. And if you want to say in a small town, you have to say, again in one single word, kisvárosban. So you have to build the words, and you have to use another way of using it's a completely new way of using my brain. That's a challenge and that's stimulating. I love it. Guys, my mind is completely blown. I've learned so many words, so many verbs that probably my memory is exploding right now. I would like to show you in the next few seconds the difference of pronunciation I had before starting learning words and their proper pronunciation, and the small progress I made now. And I would like to show you the most difficult thing to pronounce in Hungarian, at least for me, is this letter. Can you see that? It's GY. It's a single letter in Hungarian and it's so difficult to pronounce. For me it's G or G if I read it in Italian, but the proper pronunciation is like G, G. Let me show you this. Ógivági, hogy vagy? Gyógyszertár. Gyógyszertar. Viszontlátásra. Am I good? Second step, learning the verbs. Once you learn vocabulary, you gotta learn how to connect words with one another, and you have to study verbs and tenses, again with the perspective of surviving. Luckily, Hungarian has only one past tense and one future tense. So from this point of view, much better than Italian. Third step. Here I will try to formulate a meaningful sentence in Hungarian. Of course, I will try to put together all the stuff I learned so far. My aim is to formulate a sentence or a few sentences that a native Hungarian could understand without doing this. What? Guys, it's much more difficult than I thought, especially, I can just formulate those stupid sentences that you can say when you learn a language, like, the cat is on the table. Hungarians don't laugh. Please. Sziasztok, Gerry vagyok, olasz vagyok, mérnök vagyok, és Budapesten élek és tanulok. Jó napot kívánok! Hogy vagy? Jól vagyok, köszönöm. És te? Én is jól vagyok, köszönöm. Szép idő van. Guys, the path is still long. If there are Hungarians listening, you are all prayed to correct my mistakes down in the comments below. But don't be bad with me, please. We got to the fourth step, trying to understand real native speakers' dialogues. In this step, I will try to listen to real Hungarians' dialogues taken from YouTube, and I'll try to understand something. I want to see how much I can understand from these dialogues.
Sziasztok! Hát üdvözöllek itt benneteket újra nálam. Ma teljes egészében erkély átalakítós projektet fogunk tartani, ahogy már legutóbb is ígértem nektek. Ahogy említettem, ugye maradunk a narancssárga, hasztottam ezt a kültéri szőnyeget, amilyen narancs.
Almost nothing. I mean, I can understand some words, but of course I cannot understand, I cannot get the meaning of the sentence because native speakers are really fast. It's almost impossible to understand. I should talk to somebody who speaks very, 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 very slowly. But I'm not giving up. Fifth step. Today, I'm gonna try to speak Hungarian, only Hungarian, to real people in shops, at the supermarkets, stuff like that. So far, I've always ordered stuff in English because I didn't dare to speak Hungarian. I was too shy. But today, I'm gonna try. It's not much, I know, but for me, it's a very big psychological milestone to overcome. It's not much related to the language skill, but to the psychological capability to speak Hungarian. I really would like to overcome the fear to talk to a native speaker, and especially I would like to overcome the fear to not understand what they reply to me. Stick around.
Jó napot! Szia! Kérek szépen egy croissant. És kérek szépen 6 mállás makaront. És 2 hosszú kávét kérek szépen.
2 kávé.
Igen. Köszönöm szépen.
3700.
Kártyával fizetek? Köszönöm szépen. It seems I made it.
The sixth step consists in learning the real spoken language, in this case, the real spoken Hungarian, because you perfectly know there is a huge difference between the language that you learn in books and the spoken language. I'll give you some examples about Hungarian language. Köszönöm means thanks, and people tend to shorten it to köszi because it's shorter and quicker to say. Okay? Köszönöm, köszi, finom, fincsi, bocsánat, bocsi, viszontlátásra, viszlát. Nice, isn't it? Nagyon rosszul beszélek magyarul, de tanulok minden nap. Final question. So, is it finally possible to learn a language, be able to speak and understand what native speakers say in just about a week? Well, yes and no. Let's see why not. No, because the quantity of words, verbs, and material to memorize is really huge. And 1 week is absolutely not enough for our brain to fixate notions in its neurons. Especially time is needed to settle down these words in your brain and be able to recall them very easily. Especially with such a difficult language as Hungarian. Because again, this language is so different from any other language that every single word is hard to remember. It's like your brain, your mouth and your ears should get used to the new system, to the new idioms, and they have to get used together at the same time, like an orchestra. This process needs time, much more than a week. Why, yes. Well, 1 week is a very short amount of time, but I have to say that during this 1 week full immersion learning, I have learned much more than I could have learned at school, say in 1 year. I mean, 1 week ago, I couldn't even call a taxi or order something at the groceries in Hungarian, and now I can do it in only 1 week. Especially what I love now is that in only 1 week, I can understand at least 50% of what people say in the streets, and that's great. I don't feel isolated anymore. So if I could go on learning with this method for many other weeks, what does it mean? That maybe I could become fluent in Hungarian in just 3 months? I'll keep you up to date because I really want to go on learning this wonderful language. Thank you so much for watching. Szeretnék kérni egy kávét. Szeretnék kérni egy makaront. Nagyon finom a makaron. A magyar nyelv nagyon szép.